As a president, as a father, and as an American, I'm here to say we need to act. We don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society.
Yes, we do. So this video is about flat Earth, but I'm going to come at it a little bit differently. I'm not going to try to prove anything to anyone. Now, most likely, this is Jerry Seinfeld. I said most likely because I haven't really done the research properly. Remember, he's a comedian. We've got comedians who play the part of presidents. Initially I thought, and I still think, Tim Allen's playing Biden. Well, anyhow, back to flat Earth. It's not really my thing to talk flat Earth talk, but I was asked if I would do a video on it. So this is that video. I'm responding to a request from a faithful viewer who periodically watches my videos and periodically makes comments and lets me know that he is there and he is supportive. And so I'd like to say thank you to this individual for making a request. And if you have a request, let me know. I'll try to get it to it at some point in time. But I get infatuated with something and I go on and on and on with it. Like Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Or like Titanic. So I'm not really stuck on flat Earth, but I'll do my best with it. So if you go to YouTube and just type in flat Earth, you're going to get some type of a warning like you're incorrect, like it's not scientific and it's outmoded and it's archaic and so forth. So that's a clue right there that you're on the right track. Now all the videos that pop up, most of them are about trying to debunk. So you notice how he says flat earthers claim. And they're gonna show you how crazy these flat earthers are. All these videos. So the AI or the logarithms, whatever, that cause these things to appear when you type in something on search are already making a statement to you. Debunking flat earth. Inside a flat earth convention, ABC News. Debunking flat earth live. Why do people believe the earth is flat? Mostly because it's been for centuries. So I'm going to try my best to uncover some things for you. And this will be a little bit chaotic because I've got a lot of things open. And I'll do my best to try to cover some things for you here. So what is the actual situation according to the Holy Word of God? The Holy Word of God gives you a cosmology. And you're looking at a visualization of basically what the Bible tells you in book of Genesis, that you have an earth, not planet Earth. Don't say planet Earth. The word planet comes from a Greek word, planetos, which means deception. The planets are deceptions. There is no physical substance to them. They are lights in the sky. Period. You can't put your foot on a light. So nobody's put their foot on the moon, because it's a light. The stars are light. The sun is light. The moon is light. Period. And that's what makes Earth unique. Earth is substance, not just light. Okay? Now the Earth is ruled, according to Genesis, by a light that rules the day, which is the sun, and then a light which rules the night, which is the moon. And they're under what's called the firmament. Other people refer to it as a dome. And above the dome is water. So that's why when it rains, the water comes from above. And there's water below the flat earth. And that's why when the floods came for Noah's day, the 40 days and 40 nights, it came from both directions. It came from above, the water's above, and the water's below. And that's how there was a universal flood in the days of Noah. In other words, everything was flooded, everywhere. All right. So this character here is a New York Times columnist. And he wrote a book called The World is Flat. And I'll play just a tiny clip from it, and then I'll talk a little bit about this character.
And so we sat down and we plotted out a plan, and from that day on, beginning basically March 15th of 2005, no, 2004, yeah, 12 months ago, basically, a little over 12 months ago, I started this book, and I've been doing nothing else since, except writing 2 columns a week. Okay. And it became a complete obsession for me to get my mind around what had happened and to answer that question. Now the book opens, the first chapter is called, appropriately enough, While You Were Sleeping. And the book begins by me noting that Christopher Columbus actually set sail in 1492 looking for a shorter route to India. That's where Columbus was going. He sailed west. He had the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria. He never did find India, but he called the people he met Indians. And we still call them that to this day. And he came home and told his wife, honey, I've accidentally discovered the world is round. I set off for India 512 years later. I knew just which direction I was going. I went east. I had Lufthansa business class and a GPS satellite that popped up in my seat. And I came home and reported to my wife, honey, I've accidentally discovered the world is flat. And what this first chapter is about is all the encounters I had first in India, but then beyond. I went to Dalian, China, the outsourcing capital of Japan now.
Okay, now, the book itself and the lecture itself is not really about geography or cosmology. He's using that as a metaphor to tell you about the changes that have occurred in the world on the basis of events and also technology. Now, I believe that he is telling us the world is flat geographically because they have to do it in such a way that it's disguised. In other words, it's hidden. It's covert. Okay? It's not overt. So there is hidden knowledge, and that's what Gnosticism is all about. the hidden knowledge that these people have. So whatever we're indoctrinated with is open knowledge. Now we've been indoctrinated with the globes. Now I remember going to school, grade school, and even junior high and high school. For the most part, most all classrooms had a globe. They're like omnipresent. And I want to tell you something else. Very often in television shows and movies, somewhere in that television show or that movie, you will encounter a globe. Now, globes pretty much emerged right around the Columbus myth of discovering America and sailing, thinking the earth is flat, and he discovers really it's round, you know, like he said in that opening talk. So in this little article here, they're going to tell you that basically speaking, globes did not exist until about 1492, which ties in with the Columbus story and the whole idea of Columbus discovers the earth is not flat, it's round. So they come up with a way of representing this to everybody, which is basically just a ball. Now the ball is symbolic of Baal, B-A-A-L. It could be spelled differently. It could be spelled Baal, or it could be spelled Baal, B-A-L-L. Any version with the B and the L's. Now I've done quite a few videos on flags. And my ultimate conclusion about flags and saluting is this. The salute is not to a flag. It's to the pole and to the ball attached to the top of the pole. And most flags in older days, the pole had a ball on the top. And you could never find any reason why there's a ball on top. And you get stupid stuff said like, oh, that's where they would hide their last piece of ammunition or something in case a fort was attacked. What's stupid? Now the reason the ball is on top of the pole is because it's Baal's shaft or Nimrod's shaft, and they salute it. So oftentimes balls are symbols of Baal. And Baal or Baal is the Old Testament false god worshipped by the Canaanites. And the Canaanites never died off. Eustace Mullins, The Curse of Canaan. And that's who promotes all these hoaxes and all these lies. The Canaanites. And they're still in operation today, because they were never killed off by Joshua entering into the land of Canaan. So, about 1492, we see the rise of the ball, or the globe, and that ties in with what's called the Enlightenment. Now you have the Middle Ages, which maybe never existed. Maybe. I've done some videos on that. And it does appear to me as though the whole Middle Ages is just a hoax. But then you go into the Renaissance, which is the rebirth of classical literature from Rome and Greece. Then the Reformation, which is the founding once again of true biblical studies and not colored and falsified by the Roman Catholic Church. So the Reformation was extremely important. But what happens is the hoax liars, or the people that worship the devil, need to get people away from the Bible. And so what is launched is what's called the Enlightenment. And that's where science replaces the Bible. Now, hoax science replaces the Bible. Now, it should be called the Disenlightenment. It should be called the snuffing of true light. Reason is supreme. And reason is what thoughts the hoax liars put into people's heads. So now you have the so-called theories of Copernicus and Galileo dominating, saying the earth is a ball and the earth is spinning around the sun, which is incorrect. We are geocentric, not heliocentric. Well, anyhow, if you take 1492 and put it right up here, close to the Renaissance, near the Reformation, they're just about ready to try to push their false science. The Reformation occurs, and now they've got a real problem because people are hungry for the Bible. So later on in the late 1600s, early 1700s, you pretty much have what's called the Enlightenment, which is where reason now replaces faith. And reason is what the so-called scientists say. So you'll notice that so many stories start with something like this. Recently, scientists discovered, a recent scientific discovery, watch out because that's the Enlightenment coming at you, which is the devil enlightening people with the false light of Lucifer. All right, I'm trying my best. So what is it really like, the earth? Well, I'm going to go to this gentleman's little talk here, and I'm going to let him tell you about just drawing things. Now this is entitled Square and Inscribed in a Circle, and it has to do with geometry and drawing and so forth.
My name is Jeff Sackman. I run a website called GMATHacks.com, and I've written several GMAT textbooks, including Total GMAT Math, which is a comprehensive overview of the math content on the GMAT. And what I want to talk to you about today in this short video is the relationship between a square and a circle. One thing that GMAT loves to do is put multiple figures in the same question. I've recorded another video you can check out about the relationship between a circle and an equilateral triangle, which is actually a little more complicated, but the square and the circle is more common on the test. This is something you should have automatic in your toolbox, understanding the relationship between the measurements, the characteristics of a square, and the measurements and characteristics of a circle. Now, drawn here, we have a square inscribed in a circle, and we have a circle inscribed in a square. Before we start looking at specific techniques in these two scenarios, the one thing you should understand is that a square and a circle, along with an equilateral triangle, are figures that really only have one characteristic. We can talk about it in multiple ways. You can talk about the area of a circle, or the circumference of a circle, or the diameter, or the radius. But really, if you know one, you know them all. If you know the radius, you double it, you get the diameter. If you know the radius, you can apply a formula.
Okay, I'm going to stop it because that's not my purpose to do what he's doing. But I wanted you to see that a circle and a square can coexist. Now the reason I'm saying that is the Holy Word of God will tell us about the circle of the earth. And that does not mean a globe floating in space. It just means a circle, like on a piece of paper, like you see there. Okay? So the earth is either a square in a circle, or B, a circle in a square. Now, why do I say that? Because the Bible has both of those symbols in the language of describing the flat earth. So the flat earth is basically a plane that exists as either a circle with a square in it, or a square with a circle in it. Now, personally, I think it's the circle within a square. And I think that these areas out here are the areas where there's intensive ice. And the counterpart of that is what people call Arctic and Antarctic. And they do that so that you get the idea of a ball. But there are ice fields, and you can only go as far as the ice fields. So the ice fields would be like right here, if it's a circle within a square. Or if it's a square within a circle, the ice fields would be here. And basically speaking, this is as far as you can go. Alright? So the Bible talks about the four corners of the earth, the four winds. The Bible also talks about a circle. The earth is a circle. Okay? But again, it's flat, and it has some hills on it. If you can imagine that this is flat, and there's some hills on it, mountains, and then there's some dips in it. Like if you took a shovel and just dug some holes here and some holes there, that's basically what the earth is. It has elevation with mountains and hills, and it has deviation with dips or canyons or whatever words you want to use. But basically speaking, all the way across, it's flat, but it depends on where you're at. You may be looking up to a mountain, or you may be looking down to a deviation. Let's see what else I have here for you. Okay, I wanted to talk, I guess, also about Gnosticism, which comes from the Greek word gnosis, which means knowledge. And the Gnostics were the ones who had the hidden knowledge. And because the devil runs this world, he keeps his knowledge hidden and reveals it to those who want to serve him. So a lot of the Gnostics know about the BS of the globe Earth. But they won't tell you because it's secret knowledge. I'm going to bust it open and say it's not secretive. It wasn't secretive for centuries, and it doesn't need to be secretive now. The earth is flat, period. And you'll see some mountains and hills, and you'll see some dips and valleys and canyons and deviations, and that's it. It is not a planet. It is just the earth. So do not say planet Earth. That's incorrect. Planet comes from a Greek word, planetos, which means deception. All the planets are only lights, and there's no substance above the earth. Anything above the earth, there's nothing of substance in here. Nothing. They're lights. And they use the word planet to make you think there's physical mass out there. There's not. Now, how can there just be lights? Well, that's a mystery. I have my thoughts on it. I won't go into it. But anyhow, the earth is flat. You got some stars and moon. You've got a geocentric universe. They are floating around the earth. The earth remains stable, immovable. Now, I wanted to tell you my experience because I was struggled with this. And it happened to me several years ago, and it finalized it for me. I was on an international flight from New York City to China. 15 hours in the air. And while we're in the air, everybody gets excited. Oh, we see light, we see light. We saw the sun. We're all excited because we're in clouds and darkness, and we're aiming right for it. And we're wondering if it's a sunset coming toward us or going away from us. And our plane was going right toward it, and we couldn't catch it. We ended up in darkness. Why? Because it was moving. Now I'm going to say it categorically. I'm going to say it with emphasis. It was moving. Now, I know that we are not heliocentric. We are not centered around the sun, like Copernicus said, or Galileo. And they were frauds, okay? To bring you the Enlightenment, which is the disenlightenment. We are geocentric. You can literally see this with your own eyes. The sun and the moon are the ones rotating around us. All right, let me see what else I have here before I try to end. Now, this is the guy who just talks about overt and covert. Gnosticism, we talked about the ball in the circle. We talked about the timeline of the Enlightenment. It ties in with that. That the Enlightenment was an attempt to get reason and completely get rid of faith in Bible, completely get rid of faith in God. And the globes, you have encountered them in the place where the most propaganda has been given to you. And that is in the school system. And Barack Obama, who might have actually been Osama bin Laden. Obama is Osama. And this joker here, the book is interesting, the talk is interesting. And it's an analogy, but I do think that because he used the words, the world is flat, that he is abiding under their code, telling you up front the truth, but doing it in such a way it looks like it's just a way of selling a book and creating a good analogy for his book and his talk. And once again, the Hebrews and how they portrayed the world as flat and geocentric with waters above and waters below. I hope this was helpful, and I'm not really trying to prove to anyone the earth is flat, because it seems most of the videos want to do that. But I absolutely wanted to try to talk a little bit too about why did they do this? In other words, why do they insist that the world is not flat? And so I'm going to have to try to say a few words about that. The fact that they do mocking is clear indication the earth is flat. The fact that globes are everywhere, educational system, movies, homes, is indication it's flat. The Bible affirms it's flat, but yet they want to push it, that it's round. Why? Because most likely it's sun worship. The globe is a ball and sun, or Baal worship. They want to dumb you down so you know nothing. Like Schultz on Hogan's Heroes, I know nothing. They wanted to create the possibility for hoaxes about going into outer space and going to the moon, going to Mars, and all that. They created the nonsense of gravity, which is false science. There's nothing spinning. The reason things fall is because of density. Now, it's just common sense that the earth is flat. It's not necessary for me to prove it to you. It's not necessary for anyone on YouTube to prove it to anyone. It's always been in existence. The only thing that's necessary is to deprogram the people who have been programmed. And that's what I try to do. I'm not necessarily proving it to you. I'm showing you research. And if you want the answer, then my suggestion is you research it the best of your ability. If you come to the conclusion the earth is a ball, then you have fallen into the trap of Baal. And if you want to be a little bit different and realize that the knowledge that the people in Gnosticism have, the Gnostics, secretive knowledge, is that the earth is flat. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. This concludes the video.